Good day. It's Curtis Davis here. Conversations in C minor. June 10th. June 19th is today. And celebrating a lot of stuff. Like I say, a lot of stuff still going on in this crazy world. Man, oh man. But today we're going to talk about probably the most known black rock star besides Chuck Berry, I think. Mr. Jimi Hendrix. Today we're gonna do Jimi Hendrix thing, and Jimi Hendrix played with Little Richard before he, got famous. Played in a lot of clubs. Was in New York, and got discovered by Chaz Chandler from the Animals, who saw him play a few times, and took him over to England and signed him with a record company, and told him to write his songs. And one of the first songs he wrote was Stone Free, I believe. And anyway, he recorded the Are You Experience album with Mitch Mitchell and Noah Redding. Right there. It's like the more lighter, I guess, too bright. There we go. Or the All You Experience album with Purple Haze and Hey Joe and everything on this album, and When Cries Mary and Fire. This is one of the greatest debut albums that was ever made. People lost their minds when they heard it. Clapton lost his mind. Jeff Beck lost his mind. Pete Townsend, who was on Track Records, was just his own Track Records, knew of, it lost their mind. Jimmy was a great showman. And his guitar playing at that time was outrageous and amazing, of course. And they put him on tour with the Monkees, and they took him off tour because he was blowing the Monkees' audience away and confusing the Monkees' audience. And he started writing more songs and got into more psychedelic stuff, and the Beatles and everybody was out at the time and was loving him, and everyone loved him. And he came to America and came to the Monterey Pop Festival in June of '67. While his first album wasn't, I think new album. It was out in America, but it was still behind the scenes kind of, and he blowed everyone away, and blew the Who off the stage and blew everyone up, set his guitar on fire and all that. And when he got back to England, he went in the studio with Chaz Chandler to record the second album, which was Axis as Bold as Love. And this is that album right there. Axis Bold as Love. The great, Little Wing, Spanish Castle Magic, Ain't No Telling on this album. If 6 Was 9. I love this record. This is probably my favorite Jimi Hendrix album. Jimi Hendrix Experience, Noah Redding, Mitch Mitchell, and man, it goes on and on and on. You can't really get better than this album, and this album still stands the test of time. It still stands the test of time. If you don't have this, if you're a guitar player, this is actually, you got to at least listen to this album at least once. He influenced everybody with this stuff, the songwriting, his Curtis Mayfield style guitar playing, with Curtis Mayfield style rhythm with, crazy psychedelic blues overtones as well. So, Axis Bold as Love. You need this album in your life. Man, he was on tour, and he get crazy stuff going on in the studio. It took him forever to record the third album. It's a double album. He came out with Electric Ladyland, with All on the Watchtower, Voodoo Child. You can't beat that album. I mean, this album here is amazing. A Rainy Day. He was having some problems with Noah Redding at the time because they wasn't giving Noah Redding no really attention. He wasn't getting no attention in the studio because he wanted a few songs. He got a song on this album and a song on the last album. So but after this, he got into it, and after it, was it one of the live shows they had going on live in Denver, the pop festival in Denver. Already left the band afterwards, and so Jimmy was kind of out of shape, but he had many people to play with, and he found Mr. Buddy Guy. Not Buddy Guy. What am I talking about, Buddy Guy? What's the guy's name? Oh man. Oh, Billy Cox. Billy Cox. I'm talking about Buddy Miles. I'm talking about Buddy Guy because he, Hendrix loved Buddy Guy, so that's why I keep mentioning his name. But he found Billy Cox, the bass man. He came out with, in '69. He didn't come out with a studio album, and the record company was riding his ass, and something that happened. He got in problems with record labels again, and in '69 and '70, he was recording and Billy Cox and then Buddy Miles got involved with him at the end of the '60s, and because he played on one of the tracks on Electric Ladyland, Buddy Miles did. But anyhow, they put together a band called the Band of Gypsies, and then July, January, February, the last few days of the year, 69 going to 70, he wanted, they did a live album, they recorded a live album at the Fillmore East, and that became the Band of Gypsies. And this was the first, modern rock album besides Chuck Berry and people like that was a black trio of rock music, and this influenced everybody. Ernie Isley, Earth, Wind and Fire, influenced everybody. Band of Gypsies, Machine Gun, Message to Love. My favorite song on here is probably Power to Soul. This is a great record. Machine Gun. Who knows? I learned how to play guitar from this album as well. It's one of the many albums that I learned how to play guitar with. Listened to. And, unfortunately, the Hendrix died this year, in 1970, September 1970, and they did. They played at the Isle of Wight before he died. That's a hell of a live performance at the Isle of Wight. Jimi Hendrix, Isle of Wight. But Eddie Kramer and Mitch Mitchell put together some of the songs that he, was working on before he died in '69 and '70, and put it out as The Cry of Love, which is, with Angel Flying. This is a good album. It came out. This was the first thing that came out right after Hendrix passed out, when he passed on. And The Cry of Love, yeah. Years later, they start releasing stuff. This is the best stuff that came out when Hendrix saw this album come out while he was alive. As well as Smash Hits and Smash Hits. And this was actually one of the first ones that I bought when I was a teenager. I had the cassette of Smash Hits when I was a teenager. Exactly. But later on, the 90s, they stopped putting out stuff. You got the Live at Woodstock album, which is, Live at Woodstock. You know about that. He played at Woodstock. He played a lot of festivals in the 60s. Most of the festivals that he played in was recorded with him in it. And one of the best albums they came out with, since they his sister now owns the company, a stepsister owns the company, and they came out with this. And this is a great record. This has, this is like the cry of love expanded. This is the stuff that he was working on when he passed, and they took a lot of notes and read a lot of his notes and writing and stuff. And this is the double album that he was working on supposedly when he died. That he wanted to put out. But anyway, love you guys. Love Jimi Hendrix. Love Jimi Hendrix. Definitely love Jimi Hendrix. Thank you for so much for this. Curtis Davis Conversations in C minor. Please go to the YouTube page and subscribe and like it. I got like 2,500 people on my Facebook, and it's a small amount of you know what's going on. Again, I'm getting more fans, different people, but instead of talking about all this bullshit that we were talking about on Facebook, I'm talking about real stuff here. Real stuff to me, anyway. Anyway, love you all. Take care. Juneteenth is today, and today we celebrating Jimi Hendrix and everything else that's going on in the crazy world. Living life, doing better myself after being in the hospital. Everything is good. Everybody take care. Curtis Davis, Conversations in C minor, Jimi Hendrix. Thank you so much. Take care. Take care of yourself.